You strike two stones together in the dark. A spark jumps. It dies. You try again and again until a thread of orange finally catches on a tuft of dry grass and breathes into a small trembling flame. And in that single moment, everything about what you are going to become quietly changes. For nearly 2 million years, this flame was the most important thing your ancestors ever held. Not a spear, not a stone blade, something stranger than either. A second stomach that lived outside the body. But here is the question almost nobody stops to ask. What if that spark had never caught? What if no ancestor of yours had ever learned to make fire, keep it alive, and carry it from camp to camp? You would not simply be colder at night. You would not be you. To understand why, you have to know when fire was first tamed. And the answer is shockingly far back. In Wonderwerk Cave, deep in South Africa, an archaeologist named Francesco Berna and his team found something remarkable in 2012. Burned bone and plant ash sitting 1 million years deep inside the rock. Not a wildfire that swept through. A fire that someone made, fed and controlled, inside a shelter 1 million years ago. Push forward to a site in Israel called Gesher Benot Ya'aqov, studied for years by the researcher Nama Goraninbar. There, scattered across an ancient lakeshore, sit the burned remains of hearths roughly 790,000 years old. Clusters of charred flint and seeds gathered in tight spots, as if people returned again and again to the same warm circle. That word, hearth, just means a deliberate spot for a fire. And these are some of the oldest hearths on Earth, so fire is old. Older than your species, but why does it matter so much that you carry its mark in your own body right now? For that, you need a scientist named Richard Wrangham. He spent decades watching chimpanzees, your closest living relatives, and he noticed something easy to miss. They chew. They chew for hours. A wild chimpanzee can spend roughly half its waking day just grinding raw food between its teeth, because raw food is tough, fibrous, and stingy with energy. Wrangham asked a simple question. What changes when you cook that food instead? The answer is almost unfair. Cooking is a kind of digestion that happens before the food ever reaches your mouth. Heat breaks open tough plant cells. It unwinds the tangled proteins in meat. It turns hard, defensive roots into soft, sweet fuel. The same bite of food gives you far more usable energy cooked than raw, and it costs your gut far less work to unlock it. Your ancestors didn't just get warmer. They got rich. Rich in calories they suddenly didn't have to fight for. And that wealth had to go somewhere. Here is where two more researchers enter the story, Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler. In 1995, they proposed something called the expensive tissue hypothesis. The idea sounds technical, but it is simple. Some organs in your body are enormously costly to run. Your brain and your gut are two of the hungriest. A long, heavy gut, the kind you need to slowly ferment raw plants, burns through energy just sitting there. So does a large brain. Aiello and Wheeler noticed the trade. As human ancestors evolved, the gut shrank and the brain swelled. The body stopped spending its energy budget on a giant digestive system and started spending it on thought. But you cannot run a smaller gut on raw food. Raw food demands the long, slow factory. The only way to safely shrink the gut is to do some of its work somewhere else first. That somewhere else was the fire. Cooking shrank your intestines and paid for your mind. Think about what that means. The brain you are using to follow this sentence may exist because, somewhere deep in the past, a hominin sat by a flame and ate something soft and warm instead of tough and raw. Fire didn't just keep your ancestors alive. It quietly rebuilt them from the inside. So now let's do the thing you came here for. Let's erase it. Let's reconstruct a single day in a world where your ancestors never tamed fire at all. You wake before dawn, cold. There is no warm coal to coax back to life, because there was never a coal. The night did not retreat around a circle of light. It pressed in on every side. You slept in short, broken pieces, one ear always listening, because the dark belongs to things with better eyes than yours. Many predators hunt by night. Fire is the one thing that keeps them at the edge of the light. Without it, the edge is everywhere, and it is close. You are hungry, and so the grinding begins. Not cooking, chewing. Hour after hour of raw roots and raw meat and tough leaves, your jaw working like a chimpanzee's, your teeth large and flat and built for the punishment. Half your day gone into your own mouth. There is no time left over. No long evening to make tools, to teach a child, to tell a story, because every spare hour is owed to digestion. Your body is different too. Your gut is enormous, a heavy barrel of slow fermentation, because it has to be. Your jaw is huge, your teeth are vast slabs, and your brain is small, because there is no surplus to grow it. Without the calorie windfall of cooking, the expensive tissue trade never happens. The brain stays cheap, because nothing else got cheaper to pay for it. You cannot move into the cold. Fire is what let your ancestors leave warm Africa and walk into freezing Europe and Asia and survive the winters there. Without it, those doors stay shut. No Ice Age camps, no firelit caves painted with animals, no long human march across a frozen planet. And here is the counterintuitive twist, the part that turns the whole story over. We tend to picture fire as a comfort, warmth, safety, a nice glow. But fire was never really about heat. Fire was the first time a living thing moved a piece of its own digestion outside its body. Your gut used to do all the work of breaking food down. The flame took over half the job. And the moment that happened, the body was free to spend its savings on the one organ that would eventually invent everything else, the brain. So the campfire is not a thing your big brain discovered. It is closer to the other way around. The fire came first, and the brain is its child. Every cathedral, every spacecraft, every word and every language traces back through an unbroken chain of flames that someone, somewhere, refused to let die. There is a real candidate for the oldest continuous human technology, and it is not the wheel or the written word. It is a fire that has, in a sense, never gone out. Passed coal to coal, camp to camp, generation to generation, for 1,000,000 years, all the way down to the burner under your kettle. Now look at your own body, because it still remembers all of this. Look at your teeth in a mirror. They are small and neat, almost dainty, far too weak to spend 6 hours a day grinding raw fiber. They are the teeth of an animal that expects its food to arrive already softened. Your jaw is delicate. Your gut is short. You are, anatomically, a creature that assumes a fire is waiting. You were built around it before you were ever born. And there is one more clue, quieter than the rest. Notice what happens when you sit in front of a campfire even today. Your shoulders drop, your thoughts slow. You can stare into the flames for an hour and feel calmer than almost anything else does to you. Researchers have measured it. Sitting by a fire actually lowers blood pressure, and the longer you sit, the more it falls. That pull you feel toward a flame is not random. It is a memory written into your nervous system across 1,000,000 years of evenings, when the fire meant you had survived another day and you were for a few hours safe. So ask the question one final time. What if your ancestors never discovered fire? There would be no small teeth, no short gut, no surplus energy, and so no expensive, glorious, world-building brain. No nighttime safety, no ice age, no migration out of the warm. There would be no one here wondering about any of it, because wondering itself is something fire paid for. You strike two stones together in the dark. A spark jumps and catches and breathes into flame. And that flame is not just the thing that kept your ancestors warm. It is the oldest reason you are able to sit here in the light and ask what would have happened if it never came.